Brandon Carter was elected prosecutor in Washington County, which is the county right above me up in Fayetteville. Brandon Carter is a former assistant United States attorney who was in charge of prosecuting me during my 2 federal supervised release violations. Since that time, he's been elected a state prosecutor of Washington County, and he's now in charge of overseeing the case of the Devil's Den scumbag who brutally unalived a couple up at Devil's Den State Park. I'm going to talk a little bit about Brandon in this video. He's actually a great guy. Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. My name is Robert Rosto. I'm the host of this show. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I'm asking you to do so. If you like the video, please push like, share it with your family, friends, neighbors, enemies, etc. In April of 2023, my world was falling apart. I turned myself in for a probation violation after leaving the state and other matters. And I was put in custody at the Washington County Detention Center in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I had to go in front of Judge Timothy Brooks, who was in charge of letting me out on compassionate release. This guy had a mandatory life sentence, and this guy let me out. Well, when I went to the arraignment, I was bound over for a detention hearing, which means that you can get out pending your court date. During that hearing, my attorney was arguing that I should be out. The prosecutor stood up and he made the comment that in 1998, I was given an unjust sentence that is mandatory minimum life for being a 2-time drug offender. So California started the 3 strikes laws. I believe it was California. I think Michigan did the first with drugs. But anyway, started over a girl in Petaluma, California named Polly Krause getting abducted from her home by a habitual sex offender. And that's when the 3 strike laws was passed. It then went into other states and into the federal system where they did what's called an 851 enhancement. That is, if you were a drug dealer and you had 2 or more drug convictions, and those convictions could be misdemeanors, by the way. I know somebody who was in jail, mandatory life sentence with 2 prior misdemeanors, okay? Anyway, I fell under the 851 when I got indicted federally. I was offered 2 years to cooperate, and I did not. I got mandatory life. I went to trial. I had no choice. Could have pled guilty, mandatory life, because I wouldn't cooperate. So 24, 25 years later, I'm in a probation hearing, and I actually heard a government official call my sentence unjust. What that did to me, I didn't care that they didn't let me out of jail. That meant so much to me. And I thanked him. Now, he didn't look at me personally and apologize on behalf of the government. It was the fact that he acknowledged that that sentence was unjust, and unjust it was. I don't give a darn if I had roomfuls of narcotics. A roomful did not warrant a life sentence, especially when they offered me 2 years. When I went in front of the actual probation revocation hearing, I'll never forget Mr. Carter looking at me and telling me a story. And that story was, and I hope I get this right for Mr. Carter because I don't want to put words in his mouth. When I originally filed my pro se motion, that means I did it by myself for compassionate release. My petition, my motion went in front of prosecutors. And the way he told it, there was a group of prosecutors at a table. And I guess they all said, hey, who wants this guy out? I don't know. That's the way I took it. and only one person thought I should get out of jail. That person was Brandon Carter. Wow, I got a little emotional. To be honest, what he was telling me was that my situation that I was in was very sad because I had potential, I guess, and was blowing it. And to hear a prosecutor, say that, that he was the only one that wanted me out was a big deal. And let me say something else. I got violated. Then a year later, I got violated again. The judge gave me 14 months, and they asked Mr. Carter what the government's position was. How much time do you want to give this guy? Mr. Carter said, no time, no more paper, cut him loose, he's done enough time. I'm paraphrasing. That the story of me at this point in my life is what he was saying, was that it was a sad case of addiction. And that if they left me on paper, what he saw was a revolving door. I was going to keep going back for substance abuse. The judge, I'll never forget, said, well, thank you, Mr. Carter. That's very unusual for a prosecutor to say. But here's what I do want to say. To the people of Washington County, very few prosecutors can look at the big picture of somebody's life and say that a sentence they were given was unjust, mandatory minimum life sentence, and he did it. And I'll never forget him for that, no matter whatever happens in my life. He is now in charge of prosecuting this guy. And let me tell you what he said. Go.
Weight of this case and began to feel the weight of it then, and will continue to feel the weight going forward. And having that weight is a good thing for this office, so that we always remember how serious of a case this is and how it needs our undivided and full attention.
To me, that was pretty big. He's really taking the fact that he's got somebody's life in his hands that, by all indications, should be sent to Devil's Den's Park, if you ask me. Somebody going by in a four-wheeler, one of those kids, like a little kid. Anyway, the guy should be sent to Devil's Den Park, and the community should do what they want with him. I do believe that. I am for the death penalty, but I'm not for life without parole. But anyway, it's a different story. Brandon Carter. Washington County did a good job by electing him. He is a fair guy, and from what I can tell, a good lawyer. My attorney, Anna, well, it doesn't matter. My attorney, he got under her skin during our first hearing, and she thought he was a chauvinist bastard. But she later rethought her position on him. Brandon Carter, great guy, and he'll do a good job for the people of Washington County. And I hope he doesn't go crazy on certain things, but that's a different story. Take care.